Good afternoon. We are 12 days till the Cheltenham Festival. And today I'm going to have a quick run through of the Tuesday card from 2 weeks out. Just initial thoughts. Now we've got a few handicap entries. I am Risk for Rewards, also known as Pete. If you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe, just because the video content is going to be kept separate from a lot of the Twitter content, because the video content will be more will be released almost instantly, because I've got the time to then type it up and post much further down the line on Twitter. So anyway, let's keep this short. We're trying to do 10-minute videos for each day of initial thoughts. So the first race, the Supreme Novices Hurdle, dominated by Willie Mullins and also by Nicky Henderson. The same case this year. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because so many people are chasing the markets, trying to find out who's running where. I'm just going to give you a line on the novices of my opinion. Constitution Hill just fits in the could be anything. He was the most visually impressive at Sandown. He looks a standout, almost like a champion hurdle horse, but obviously he's still got plenty to prove. He's not really been tested in the slightest. Sergio Gerard obviously won the champion bumper last year. He is the classiest, I'd say, in the field, and he'd be a strong contender in either. His jumping was very sticky last time. They're thinking the Ballymore because it may give him a bit more time to jump, but he'll need to jump better, but very talented. Dysart Dynamo, biggest machine, I'd say, of all of the novices, in the fact that the way he travels, and so it's like almost like the Vitor, the way he powers through all these hurdles. No idea where he's going yet. John Bon, slickest jumper for me so far. I'm not saying any of the others aren't good jumpers, but I think John Bon is the slickest jumper. He's been knocked plenty. I'm not going to run through all of his form, but he's the slickest jumper, a good asset. And then Kilcroot, who was the forgotten horse for most of the season, but he did come second here last year in the champion bumper, and I would not be forgetting about him. The issue is I think he'd be the wise guy horse at most previews. So, I mean, he's 7 or 8 to 1 now. He's probably going to get shorter, and then I'd imagine most of these will be bigger. This could be like a 3 or 4 to 1 the field in the morning, and then they get backed in as we go. But we'll see. I'm not going to go too much on that race. The Arkle, this is normally a point and shoot job, but it's an absolute cluster this year. And it is a mess. I think Edwardstone sits a very solid standard. People are knocking him, saying he can't do this, Alan King and all the stats, but Edwardstone, the difference is there aren't any Group 1 winning hurdlers of this bunch going into the Arkle. Edwardstone was the highest rated hurdler, even though he was a handicapper, not a Group 1 graded horse. But he has the best ratings over hurdles, and he's done nothing to change that over fences. He's obviously won, I think, 4 on the bounce now after being brought down. He's won Group 1s, and he's looking better every time. So he does set the standard. And then it's much of a muchness with the rest. You've got Willie Mullins, who's got Blue Lord, Hortense Calor and Saint Sam. Any of those 3 could finish in any order. Blue Lord has got the Group 1 form in the fact that he obviously raced in the big novices, but he didn't cut the edge at the top level, and I thought he was average in Dublin. He needs to improve, but he may well do, because Mullins could have left some to work on. He did win, after all, the Irish Arkle. Horton Calor and St Sam are in the similar. They're both very unexposed juveniles. Horton Calor in particular, because he's only had 2 runs over hurdles. So they fit in the could be anything, but they could be nothing. Juveniles is very difficult to step up to Group 1 company. But this race could fall apart easy. And then Riviere de Tel sets a standard much like Edwardstone, but for the Irish. But she is losing her allowance as she goes along, because she's now only going to have the £7 mare's allowance, and they are catching up. And there's horses that have had less runs that are obviously less exposed, so they've got more chance to improve on both their jumping and the whole aspect of jumping fences. So all in all, I think Edwardstone is the rightful favourite. And I'm interested to see where the market will end up with this race. If you said to me that it was, say, 3 to 1 Edwardstone, Blue Lord, and the rest, I think he would be the pick for now. But we'll wait and see. And I wouldn't write off Horton Calor, even though he fell last time, which is really not good for going to Cheltenham next. The Ultima, I'm not going to go too much into this handicap, because there's about 100 horses entered, and there won't be that many come the day. One thing I will say is that Death Duty has took a lot of money from Gordon Elliott, saying he's the best handicapped horse. He's now gone from 16 to 1 into 8 to 1. The Irish record in this race is 0 wins from the last 10 years, and they've had 5 horses place in the last 10 years. So whether he's the best handicapped or not, he's gone 16s into 8s now. It's obviously your choice, but for me, he's going to be a horse where I will look at his form and I'll look really closely and I'll see around, but that is a mega off-putting stat for me, and hopefully that means that he'll make the market and I can look for a few English horses on a race they may actually have a chance to take him on with. Onto the Champion Hurdle. I mean, where do we start, finish? Honeysuckle all the way. I can't yeah, she wasn't that visually impressive, but a lot of trainers do this. Mullins often eases off horses and they don't quite look like they perform. Then they come to Cheltenham and they absolutely explode. Henry's looking very smiley bullish in the last few weeks, which says to me he's happy with where his stable's at and he's in a comfortable spot. If she runs to a mark, her levels, then nothing's catching her. Yep, I totally appreciate the irony, the appreciate it case. And I did back him at much bigger prices. He is the most likely danger, but that's only because he's one of few that hasn't raced against her. It's a huge ask to go here and win any race at Cheltenham with no prep. No horse has ever won the Champion Hurdle without a prep race. And not just that, this horse hasn't even ran in open company yet. I remember when Sam Crow was going to be the next big thing, and he had his first run in open company at Punchestown and he fell. And then from then on, he was an okay horse, but he was never top Group 1. He could well be, but I mean, I think Connections would be happy if they finished in second or third behind her after the way his prep was, and then had a proper go at her at Punchestown. So, and also he still conceded £7. Of the rest, they're much of a muchness to me. There's nothing that really stands out. The Mare's Hurdle, good little renewal this, but I do think it's going to cut up. Concertista is currently favourite for the Mare's Chase. Royal Kahala wants softer ground and potentially 3 miles, so if she doesn't get the softer ground, she won't be there. Stormy Island, I think, is fairly exposed, even though she does set the standard. I hope that there'll be better horses than there. Burning Victory's looked pretty good this year, but her jumping is a bit iffy, and if they put the pace on to begin with, she could become unstuck. So the 2 and Echoes in Rain, I'm still convinced that she's too well handicapped that they won't go here and they'll go to something like the County. So the 2 I've fallen on at the moment was Tell Me Something Girl. Yeah, I am on Antepost, but still she's 3-1. She'll probably be 4-1 on the day. I think that's more than fair enough. She absolutely bolted up in the Mare's Novice last year. Henry's made no buys with the fact that this is the only aim and she will hunt just for this race. It's almost like working as a handicap. She's having to give him weight to horses like Royal Kahala and Mrs. Milner, and she's finishing very well in behind them, giving them £7 and £5. So she's been bang there, and that's when she's not fit for the race. So I think she is the rightful favourite and a very strong chance of winning. And then my other horse was Queen's Brook, who recently has had a few difficulties, but she's got very solid form, back form, rating back, and her form behind Burning Victory last time out. She finished second, staying on well, but I do think as much as Burning Victory's probably got more to come, I think that because she'd had a bit of a niggle, like an injury previous, and they weren't sure if they'd make it to the track, I think she was given a very easy time, and despite that, she was still coming along nicely. So at 9-1, I wouldn't put you off that. There'll be my 2 at the moment, Tell Me Something Girl and Queen's Brook. Obviously, these aren't final, but that is the way I'm going at the moment, and I have backed both of those. And onto the Boodles, the Master, the Gaelic Warrior. Many people are talking this, and the funniest thing is there's many people saying that you should back it as there are saying you shouldn't back it. But the people who are saying you shouldn't back it don't know why you shouldn't back it. They're just going on the fact that it's a big field, it's Willie Mullins, blah, 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 and he's a favourite. Yeah, that is true. But if you look back to his Group 1 form, the last race that he ran out, there was a horse called Kirov, and I can't remember the horse that finished in behind him. So he finished in between these 2 French horses, and both the 2 French horses have been unbeaten in their next 2 runs, and then they met in a Group 1 where Kirov finished first and the other horse finished second. So if they were rated and they came over here, they'd probably be 150 plus handicappers. So the fact that he's got in a 1-2-9 says that he has to be well handicapped. It's just whether he can handle everything else and obviously the big situation first time out. And we all know the score. Like Hugh Gree had been 4 stone in hand last year for Paul Nicholls apparently, and he still managed to finish 4th. So as much as obviously he can knock it all the way, but he's probably only going to go one way in the betting. So I'm not saying that he is or he isn't a bet. And the other one that I backed was Champion Green, who I'm really pleased with. He's got in on 125, which is light enough, considering the other horse that was who bolted up on his last start, Brazil, got absolutely hammered by the Irish handicapper, and then obviously here. So yeah, I'm happy with Champion Green, but it's a field full of unexposed horses. So, and obviously the Irish do handicap to the max. So we'll wait and see close to the time. That field will cut up, but the original, I'd stick Gaelic Warrior is only going to get shorter, and Champion Green. They're the 2 that I have backed. And then finally, last race is the National Hunt Chase, Run Wild Fred. He's got everything that I want in the National Hunt, and he's not the favourite. Statler is unexposed, but he is very, very lightly raced, whereas this race generally goes to a really battle-hardened horse. Gordon Elliott's record in the race is that of the horses that he's had complete, he's had 4 of 5, 4 out of the 5 win, and he's also, last year he had Iscario Tendorf favourite, who finished 3rd, because he won the race with Galvin, and we all know what Galvin's done. So I just think he suits the mould, and he's very battle-hardened. He shouldn't even be a novice, because he was in the big handicaps last year, and obviously, but he just came 2nd in all of them. And then this year he's just come on again, and he's just everything you want. He's already that battle-hardened handicapper. So for me, he is the starting point, and then we'll see what else turns up, to whether I back anything else. But Gordon Elliott's record in the race, he is the man to target of this. So if he runs a 2nd horse, and also Gigginstown. So, yep, that's a Statler for me. So, quick summary. Supreme Novices, I wouldn't worry about yet. Arkle, I think Edwardstone and Riviere de Tel set the standard. And that's as far as I'll go. That market's going to throw on its head, so I wouldn't rush to bet. Ultima, so no to Death Duty right now. Champion Hurdle, Honeysuckle all the way for me. Mare's Hurdle, Tell Me Something Girl, and also Queen's Brook. And the Boodles, Gaelic Warrior and Champion Green, but I'll be looking to add horses at much bigger prices close to the time. National Hunt, Run Wild Fred, and again, I'll look to see if there's anything else of interest close to the time. So, good luck, and I'll speak to you soon.